And Afifa Arifin joins us from a hospital at Sungai Buloh, where bodies have been moved for families to identify their loved ones. Afifa, this is the second day of search and rescue. What's the progress been like so far?
Well, 3 bodies were recovered earlier today at the landslide campsite at Batang Kali, and this brings the total death numbers to 24. This means that there are 9 victims which are still yet to be found at the campsite. Search and rescue operations are still ongoing there. More than 100 personnel have been deployed at the campsite using various forms of technology like drones with thermal sensors, using heavy machinery such as excavators. We know that there are 5 excavators at the site. They're also using cadaver dogs to trace and find the bodies of the victims which had been buried in the soil, some up to 5 feet deep. Now, this evening, Malaysia's police chief Akril Sani also visited the campsite, and there he spoke to the media after his briefing, and he said that the operators of the farm will be called in to assist with police investigations. Now, we know it has been found that the operators of the farm had been operating the campsite illegally for the past 2 years because they did not have the proper permit. But it has been, more than 40 hours now, and so the authorities are saying that the chances of finding survivors at this point is extremely slim. However, they say that they will do their best to find all the remaining victims at least for 7 days.
Afifa, you are at a hospital in Sungai Buloh where remains have been brought and families there are meant to identify and look for their loved ones. How do you find families and victims coping with this incident?
Well, understandably, the families of the victims are very distraught. They are mourning the loss of their loved ones who had died in this very tragic landslide accident. It was a holiday turned a nightmare for those at the campsite, and a very traumatic incident indeed for the family members, because this is something that was just so unexpected. We're outside the forensics department here in Sungai Buloh, and this is where the families or the next of kin of those who died will be called in for them to identify the body. Many of them who entered this area were very visibly emotional and rushed straight into the mortuary area. They were escorted, of course, by the hospital staff as well, some officials from the health ministry. Now, this afternoon, the National Disaster Management Agency had released a list of several names identifying some of those victims who had died in the landslide. There were 6 names. Since we've been here, we've seen 13 hearse vans arriving. About 8 hearse vans have left, and this means that there are 8 victims whose bodies have been identified and claimed by their families. We know that identification process is still going on, either via identification by the family members or by fingerprint tests at the moment.
Well, thanks so much for that. Afifa Arifin reporting live to us there from Sungai Buloh.